actions. Give your all to me. I'll give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning, even when I...
Dan, RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. So, Agnes and I, we did our next recording. I think she's put out on her channel the entire video in its length from her recording, and mine's a little bit different. I finally pulled off actually doing my own version of the recording, which is pretty cool. Anyway, John Legend, All of Me, and I don't know, I kind of took a little leeway with the particular song, but we're doing a like manifesting magic. I think there's some really awesome stuff in this particular video, and I think it's well worth the watch. And of course, we've got I don't know, possibly 6 of them coming up. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to combine 2 of them, but we'll see. That's neither here nor there. It's in between. There you go. Thank you. We'll be right back to close it out. So I was hoping I had a couple points that I went through and kind of came up with, and so I was hoping.
Cool.
We could talk about them. I didn't know if what all you came with. I mean, I've got stuff highlighted in the book. I don't need that anymore.
Excellent. Look, I'm totally unprepared. So
beautiful.
Go for it.
No, that makes me feel better. Much better, actually. And actually, this will help. Okay, cool. So yeah, I guess the first thing I was wondering about, and it's I can quote. I don't know if we want to quote it or how we're going to do this or what, but the question that came to me, the shortened thing that might be a talking point. The success of manifesting from another person depends upon the operator, not necessarily the subject. So unless that subject is incapable of those coming from that area, that whatever, then they're not going to necessarily be able to reciprocate or turn that on or be that thing. So then I guess it bounces back at us, which I thought that was a whole topic unto itself. But I kind of wanted to get into the whole, from what I understand, it has to do more with the operator, right? I mean, so
yeah,
and nothing else.
Yeah.
I think that was the one that was like ding, and I was like,
yeah.
That's where a few places in my my whole process has been, I think, hampered in that I was expecting that I was taking in other factors that I think I could have just had handled by the manifestation process, I guess, to say it simply. So what do you have any thoughts on that whole concept, though? I mean, how...
yeah, I think, I hear that a lot, people saying, what can I do and what technique can I use and what, but the thing is, it's not the technique. It's not what you're doing. It's not how often you're doing it. It's you're driving the bus. So, a technique might work for one person, but it won't work for another because belief is what's driving it. You've got to have belief. If you don't have belief, you can do techniques for 10 years. It's the belief that powers everything. Like you say, the operator, but more so not just the operator, but the belief within the operator. I would go as far as to say.
Right. And that definitely seemed to be a huge part of how it works. I mean, the physics of it. I don't even know what the heck kind of science it would be under. But when you think from it, like we've always talked about, but you don't worry about the other person having to do certain it seems like you just take all of that out. You take out whether or not they're a factor at all. Like and I think that was, for me, that was where it was key in my understanding, and where I think I've faltered on numerous occasions too, is I'm worried about them. I'm worried about certain factors on their side. I'm worried about, do I have the income level? Am I, I'm worried about, I'm like trying to piece it together myself rather than kind of standing back, I think, a hair more and say, all right, here's all the things I want, kind of big picture. Let's start putting that together. I think that was kind of my takeaway from that point.
Yeah. No, it's a really good point. And I think, I get a lot of emails and coach people and different things. And this thing comes up again and again and again. What can I do so I can get what I want? It's like, well, in one word, believe. Yeah, but how do I do that? Practice. Yeah, but how do I practice? Daily. How do I do that? Focus, that's how you break it down. Belief doesn't just happen overnight. Yes, the affirmations help you to believe. Yes, the, reading and YouTubing and listening and all that stuff. But the thing is, you got to get to a place where, not that you put all that aside, but that you go into applying. And the application is, okay, if I don't believe in something, like, I have a lot of money, your head goes, well, no, you don't. And then you go, okay, well, how could I believe that? Because if I say I have a lot of money, my head argues with me. But if I say, okay, yeah, but wouldn't it feel good if you had a lot of money? Okay, your head doesn't argue with that so much. So you've got to work out ways around your arguing head to make something more believable, because your head's a big critic about what you try and tell it. So you got to try and make it so it doesn't argue with you. And how do you stop it arguing? That's how you get to believing.
So one thing I think is a great question to ask at this point, and I truly wonder what your opinion is on, and I don't think a lot of people tend to notice the chatter that goes on inside, and I don't know if I'm wrong on that, but I hear it brought up on occasion. But I wonder if people were paying more attention and noticing these things, would they start to see why they're having a hard time manifesting? Because to me, that's where the answers are. Is it's all the stuff that we do to counter, or it is if you're not believing in it, which we talked about, then you're having that's getting doubted somewhere. Like you're bringing up some mind chatter there at some point, and I think that's like the key. I mean, because it's very black and white on how you do this. How you manifest is very, very black and white. Time frames, I don't know. We could come up with different thoughts on that, but ultimately, I think time frames are. It just depends. It depends on too many other factors.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think people lose sight of the markers that help us understand what it is that's costing us time.
Definitely, Dan. And I think, you spend a lot of time, I think, especially in early manifesting days, when you do become aware of the chatter, is you try and work things out a lot. And as time goes on, you stop trying to work things out. You just head to the end result, and you spend as much time there as you can, because all that other stuff is just fuzz. It's not really helpful.
That's a huge, 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 huge point that I hope no one missed, and it should be reiterated. But I mean, it's we don't have to worry about the minutia in between. You have to get to your end result. Don't worry about all the little stuff. The little stuff will get worked out, and that's actually where it becomes, I think, fun, where you get to witness it happening, because you start to see the little things start to fall in line, right? You start seeing the little pre-manifestations occur, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, this is happening.
Yeah, that's it. But you have to have the experience of that with little things, with medium things, and then you tackle the big things. Because if you can start to believe little things, then the medium things, you go, okay, I've kind of got some confidence under my belt. I'm a bit more understanding of, if I do this, this, and this, and I believe, then I launch that. Then there's an incubation period, then there's a hatching period, and then I get the thing, and then it's now behind me as yesterday. It's not in front of me as tomorrow, next week, next year. So you pass through, then you get the confidence. Then you start spending less time, not saying you don't talk to people about it, but you're more selective about who you talk to about it. And then you spend a lot more time in your incubation tank, doing your application, rather than dissecting and breaking things down so much. And that, I think that just happens over time, because we all need to go through. Everybody starts in the same place. Yeah. I haven't got what I want. I'd like to get something more. How do I get it? That's where we all start.
And a lot of us made the same mistakes, which I would lump what you were just saying, but I would lump talking to other people. Because for me, that's, I think, sidetracked me so many times. I mean, being careful who. I mean, I mentioned in a video at one point, I'm like, if someone was to ask you or someone was to ask me, and they're talking about how they're trying to manifest them, it's like, oh my God, what are you doing? That's great. What can I do to root you on? But if you go to Joe Schmo or that, that family member that you're really wanting to bring along with you on this newfound journey that you're on, those are the ones that can oftentimes be the toughest. And when they're ready, they're ready. But when they're not, you end up messing up your own manifestations when you start trying to talk to people that.
Yes, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And you're spending too much time, defending why it works for you, and they're busy trying to work out, well, yeah, but I did that and that didn't work. Yeah, well, how long did you do it for? And it's like you're going through all these ins and outs of why something didn't work for someone, instead of really, having a conversation about why something did work and how it worked, and breaking down. So it's like glass half full or glass half empty, depending on who you're talking to, how the conversation goes.
And what's still profound about that is you still have the issue where now you're focused on a bunch of negative stuff because this person, that's what they're talking about. So now that's in your subconscious. And so you end up, like you said, defending it. And you're like, no, but I know this works. And then, but a little bit of doubt creeps in. Then you walk away and everything, you start playing it over in your head. You're like, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe. And it's just like, all right, go back to the green light, the free coffee, start small, work back up. And just remember, don't tell everybody what you're doing. I mean, I've had people ask me questions like, I will show you when I'm done, but I'm not talking about it all. It's just, especially when what we're trying to do. I mean, that's not a good idea. So,
No. Well, and I don't know. I find I disconnect from those conversations pretty quickly these days, because I just end up wasting my energy when I could be just doing the manifesting thing and then sharing a result.
Right.
And people are much more willing to listen when you've got a result happening.
Well, show me, don't tell me. Totally. That wins the day. Always.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, no, so it's, that thing of just disengaging more quickly, I find, because I used to spend hours like dissecting and defending it, and I did this and this worked, and but it didn't work for me. Well, why didn't it work for you? Well, and that you end up spending all this time on it didn't work because. I don't really want to have it didn't work because conversation. Right. That doesn't bring me anything.
No, it doesn't benefit you at all, and it's actually a waste of your thought time, if you will. I mean, that's time you could use to, or ushering in a new thought, a new manifestation, a new something that you want. I mean, it's
exactly.
So it's powerful.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, those people will definitely drain you, and they can bring down the day. And I think that truly these are like the ones that really, really break you. And I've made the telling people mistake. In fact, I was super awesome the other day. I just got a phone call from a very good friend, a person that really, truly I know cares about me, and I know has the highest hopes for everything going on in my life, but does not necessarily understand what I'm trying to do. And I don't need anyone to understand it. It'll be there when it happens. So she's one of the ones that would, derail me almost every time. And I went through the conversation. I'm like, well, and I basically didn't say anything. I didn't bring it up. I like dissuade it. It was like Karate Kid motion. I was like, well, I was like pushing it away as I deflected it. But yes, it was, it was a good moment.
It's an art form, deflecting.
Yeah, seriously, right? You get good at it. You do. You start to. But it makes all the difference in the world. I'm telling you. So we're definitely bringing it up. So again, when we're doing all this wonderful manifestation work, and you're meditating, and you're doing all this great stuff, and then you turn around and you start to second guess. You start to question. You go and talk to people. So again, all these things are kind of the preface. This the beginner aspects of it, and it's a good place. Again, all of us started there, right? So there's of course no judgment whatsoever. It's a beautiful ride, and I think early on it's actually I think even more exciting, frankly, because stuff happens really quickly.
And then you get that rush.
Right.
You probably don't get the rush so much
as
time goes on.
Yeah, you get a little more like the daily little symbols, right? You see the cool little like, hey, that's coming, but like the manifestations are generally a little more, I don't know, further out, I guess, or big. I don't know, bigger, maybe. I don't know, because like the little stuff's easy. You don't think about it anymore, right?
Yeah, and I don't know, like I find I don't get that surprised when I manifest something these days. I feel more level I used to get these massive highs and wow, and then I wouldn't be able to sleep, or these massive lows where you'd crash and burn and you'd be completely emotionally wiped out. don't get that. So I'm not saying I don't get them at all, but it's a minority. Whereas before, that's how I used to live all the time, especially when you're coming out of a lot of chaos and a lot of drama. So it's like when it does happen now, you go, I was working on that for 6 months. So that's interesting. That's happened now. So you kind of take it in your stride, not saying you're not grateful or appreciate.
Well, it's more expected.
But you take it more in your stride. It's more expected.
Yeah, it's more normal. You're
know,
like, this works. This is going to happen. So it's not like, woohoo. It's like, well, no. I got what I was working on.
I got what I was working on.
Right,
yeah,
right,
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, it might be surprising to other people, but you know how many meditations you did. You know how much imagining you did. You know how many affirmations you did.
Yeah, night after night after night. Yeah, exactly. And it didn't bother you. You're like, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll keep doing it until this day happens. But yeah, exactly. It's we know the work, and it's it's just such a beautiful. Once you've proven it over and over, it's just cool. Then it's just like, all right, now what? Now what do I do with this? That for me was a big deal because I was so not used to thinking about what I wanted. I was so used to pleasing others and doing for others and all this that I never ever really. So that was a big. It's still actually somewhat of a challenge from time to time. I'll catch myself going, what do I actually want? Like I'm pretty content. Like I don't need a really, really super duper fancy, awesome car. Like I'm really happy with what I have. And it's so I don't know. Sometimes it's hard. I got to remember to try to expand. But for me, it's like, the work, doing the like the YouTubes and doing like more speaking, doing more voiceover, doing all, getting these kinds of things in line for me is where it's going to be exciting. But anyway.
And I think you become a person that's more satisfied because I look back and I can see how very unsatisfied I used to be about pretty much every area. Whereas now I feel a lot of satisfaction. I feel a lot of ease. I feel a lot of joy. I feel a lot of my efforts, especially in the last 6 months, having, been able to free myself from a job and to be able to take my work with me and travel and be in 3 different countries and see all the people that I love, not just when, the boss lets you go because you only get 2 weeks off or whatever. So going from feeling massively trapped for probably 10 years to now feeling free is such a satisfying manifestation for me. Really satisfying, my stuff's in storage and I don't have, I'm not anchored down anywhere, but I feel happier than I felt. No, I'm not anchored anywhere.
Not even in Australia?
No,
oh my
I put everything in storage. Yeah, I actually am living out of a suitcase and I haven't decided when I'm going to anchor down.
Nice.
Yeah, it is.
Fly by night. That is freaking sweet. Good for you.
I know. Yeah. Well, I don't need a base anymore.
Right. Well,
I used to, but I don't right now. I think, well, I'm actually, as long as I've got Wi-Fi and a bed to sleep in and I've got some clothes to wear that are appropriate for whatever season it is, I can basically go anywhere I want. And I really, really love that freedom because I haven't had it for, probably ever.
Yeah,
Never
right.
had it.
Yeah, it's a new thing, newfound love.
It's still a new thing. Yeah,
right. That's awesome. I didn't realize that. That's super cool. That's very, very cool.
I'm an Airbnb-er.
Yes,
as they say.
Yeah, you do that, huh? So when you're in Australia, you don't have like a flat or an apartment or whatever the heck they call them. And
I did. I don't at the moment. Probably since. Well, it's actually a year since May 2016.
Okay. Wow. That is pretty cool. Good for you.
I know.
Good for you.
I know. Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed. I thought we had some good stuff in there for sure. And, man, I swear I'm getting better at this, but I'm a little like kind of slow to get my my talking legs on in the middle of these things right at the beginning. And then I feel like I kind of start to take stride. But whatever. That's just me being critical. I have to watch these things and I've got to be kind to myself. Anyway, we're Dan RadioStyle. Thank you for joining me. I should say that. If you'd like to contact me, feel free to do so. danradiostyle@gmail.com. And comment on videos, please. If you got questions, email me. If you've got something specific maybe you'd like me to talk about or something like that, we can do that. And I think, outside of that, we've got a bunch more Agnes and I stuff coming up. And we've already booked our next one next month. So we're going to kind of keep doing this for a while. We're having a lot of fun. Anyway, going out with Bryan Adams, Everything I Do.
There's no love like